cameras live? I do.
How are you?
This one? That's from Saturday. They had to take some screws
Yeah.
and gloves, but they didn't get a receipt for that.
Yeah, Robert, can you go to the Phoenix, will you? Somebody else must be wearing those glasses.
Try not to be hot.
Thank
Yes,
you.
do not spill my tea. That would be bad.
I'll look to see if the box had motion at first. Now it's the right time to check it after you clean them. Can you clean them with lotion on? Don't. You gotta get hot soapy water and get them off.
Okay, at 6 o'clock, let's begin this village council meeting, June 13th, 2022. May we have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Wales?
Here.
Bishop?
Here.
Dunham? Here. Larson?
Here.
Miller? Here. Needham?
Here.
White?
Here.
If we can all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seeking approval of the regular agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion, support by Needham. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anybody opposed say no. Moving forward to the consent agenda, board members can request certain items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. A motion is then in order to adopt all items not removed. After that motion is passed, discussion will occur on those items previously selected for removal. Seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Order.
Motion and support by Larson for the consent agenda. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, brief public comment. At this point, we have time for public comment. Please state your name, place of residence. Disclose any financial relationship with the village of Kalkaska. Please direct all comments towards me and limit comment to 3 minutes or less. Do we have public comment this evening? Thank you for attending. Presentations. Do we have a presentation for Munson Healthcare?
I don't
As far
think
as I
they
was
can.
aware, if I'm not.
And nobody
otherwise,
is here.
that's- No one has contacted me canceling, so.
It is strange. Maybe he didn't think he's gonna.
Well, this time they recontacted her and set it up again, so
We will move on. Bills, Finance Committee, you have a report for us.
Yep, we went over the current invoices and payroll, and we make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $153,968.32. The invoiced amount was $203,672.45.
Motion to pay the bills is made. Do we have a second?
Support.
Support from Needham. Can we have a roll call? If there's no further discussion. Go ahead.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes,
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do you have anything else?
Yep.
Finance?
we also reviewed the real estate proposal for sale of the Third Street property. And we recommend to the village that we accept Melissa Steiner for all future purchases, like for her to work for us. Sales, sales, sorry, sales.
I don't play mine.
Sales,
Is that a motion?
yes.
I'll support it.
Motion support by Larson.
Who
Do
did
we have
you
any
say?
discussion?
Melissa Steiner.
Yes.
Is that through a certain company?
Yes, it is. It's through, the difference,
Melissa Snyder? Is it?
No, Steiner.
Steiner.
I will tell you, for your information, I did request prices from 3 realtors. All 3 accepted. One ended up calling and saying that they got a promotion and there was more administrative duties, so they withdrew. The other one just never responded. So this was the only response we got.
what makes a difference, I don't know about anybody else, but I've known Rick for years and he's worked his way up from the bottom to nothing, what he is. People like him.
What I do like is she's already put in a tremendous amount of work. She's done comparables. She's told us what she thinks it's worth before she even had a recommendation of the job. So she put in the time to get it.
Any further discussion?
And how was the RFP posted?
It was just requested a proposal for selling selling our property.
Like where?
I contacted them. One from each of our local, I think I got them all covered. I split it up between each of the different
Statutorily,
agencies.
you know this better than I do. Is that how it's supposed to be done?
I'm sorry.
Is that how it was supposed to be done?
Well, I mean, if it's expected to be, an amount, I mean, that's purchasing, that's not selling. So I don't think that would fall under the purchasing policy in the same way, unless there's a selling or divesting policy that I'm not aware of.
Any further discussion? With roll call, please.
Certainly. Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes,
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Wales.
No.
Motion carries.
Do you have anything further?
nope,
Moving on for other committees, Parks and Recreation Committee.
that's last meeting.
Yep.
We met, I think it was last week, or the week before, to discuss clean up at Chalker Park. So we set a date. We ended up doing it on the 7th because the 6th was raining, so we were rained out. So we had members from Loom and 42 Degrees to clean up the park. And then we went to repair it on the 11th, but we repaired what we could. We need to repair some more. And that was 42 and Loom and the 2 Parks and Rec members here. Yeah. So we'll have to set up another meeting to do that. We are going to hush on the skate park right now until we figure out what's going on with the township.
I understand it was a meeting or something.
Yes, he could elaborate on that.
I'd
if
be
you'd
happy
like
to
to.
elaborate on
Could you,
that.
could you?
I went last Tuesday to discuss the hill and the skate park with the township. We have no friends there whatsoever. They have absolutely refused to discuss the hill in any way, shape, or form. They do not want the hill removed because there are families that use it every day during snow. And that is on their lease, and as far as they're concerned, it will remain on their lease and we will not touch it. A lot of other things were said. It was very disheartening. I was basically called on the carpet for about an hour for everything that happens in this village. I'll take my council hat off for 1 second to continue that communication between those two offices, ours and theirs, has been beyond broken for a long time. They take great umbrage at that. And as a citizen, I would demand that it gets fixed. As a council member, I'll double demand it because I was not aware of how dysfunctional it was. And it's a damn shame that we both occupy the same space, but we can't communicate 2 blocks down the road. That ends that part of the report.
Public Works meeting?
We had 2 meetings last month, 5/12 and 6/1. On the 5/12 meeting, we discussed the selling of the property at Birch Street, which the committee asked Manager Popa to put out an RFQ for an agent, which he just reported on. We also discussed the sale of the property at Cherry Street. It was contingent on accepting infrastructure placement at the hospital. And you had spoken to Goslin Zubek, and that process was underway.
I have a meeting at the hospital, well, the board meeting at the hospital is the 28th,
The one, yes,
hospital board meeting.
yes, yes.
And I've been in touch with the CEO there, and I'm going to go to the board meeting and discuss that with the board.
Third topic discussion on the 12th was to discuss grant application submission for Georgia Crow Street paving. The committee discussed this with Manager Copa, and we have decided to ask for a motion to apply for that grant. That was a
I'll
motion.
second it.
Is that a clear grant or is that feedback?
Manager Copa?
Clarifying the language of the motion, what the grant is that we're.
So the Gosling Zubek is working on a grant application for us to apply to the state for money to assist us with paving. I'm gonna say George and North Coral. Unfortunately, it's probably not gonna be both, but that's the project that we're proposing. We'll see what we get, and we may have to cut it back from there.
But is it a percent?
No,
Is it a free
it's
grant?
up to $250,000.
So our belief being that any grant funds that we're able to get helps save the taxpayer money. We get
Grants
more
in
done.
general,
Yes, indeed.
I hate those up to
any more discussion?
$250 is up to $250,000.
Pardon me.
Any more discussion about that? Get a roll call?
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes,
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham. Yes. Reels.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item of discussion was discussing the compost area lost key process. And we would like to make a motion to change the ordinance to allow for fees to be added to the utility bill 15 days after the late or lost key. Right now, the process is very convoluted. This simplifies it for the people in the office and allows us to just add it to whoever sent the key out 15 days after it has not been replaced.
Return.
That's a motion.
That is the motion.
I'll support that.
Motion and support. Any more discussions?
I will have to draft an actual ordinance for this ordinance change, just
Shall we
was not able to do so,
put
for
it
this
on new
meeting,
business of next
so I
time?
will, yes,
Okay.
because it
We'll
will
do
have to
that.
be an
We'll wait
actual.
for an
There was
actual.
gonna be a change in the language, because
We have to-
observed the steps of how we want to.
Change the current ordinance, correct?
Correct, and in order to do so, we have to
So it's
create
like- so it's a
an
new
ordinance
ordinance.
to adopt an ordinance.
It's
to
actually-
change
That's
it.
all. Mhm.
So we'll do that next time.
So it'll be under old business because it's coming from this agenda.
Are we just shifting that to new business?
Two weeks left.
Or old business?
Old business.
Right, then item number 5 was the discussion of the repeal of the pit bull ordinance. And after discussion of the committee, we are moving to remove ordinance 91.26,
I'll support that.
Which is,
the pit bull ordinance.
so we don't have one.
We have one, we're removing it, or we're asking to remove it.
What it would do, Bob, is we do have a current vicious animal ordinance and a pit bull ordinance. The pit bull ordinance is very specific to breed, where the vicious animal is specific to an animal that is vicious. If that makes
So
sense.
it's relevant.
Instead of a global breed selection.
And this unfortunately is another case of needing to
Ordinance.
adopt an
Yes.
ordinance to make this change.
So who's gonna determine if it's vicious or not?
It's all based on court and animal control, based on history and the actions of that actual animal, rather than its breed. And I know that there was a state law pending, but I don't believe it passed. Any of you know? I think it failed, but there was a state law
So
pending
is this
to
going to
prohibit
go under the same
breed
table,
specific.
not tables?
ordinances.
So this is in addition to what we have.
No, so this,
Subtraction of what we
right
have.
now, we have two that basically
Overlap.
mirror each other. This would take the breed specific out, but leave the vicious animal in. So it would be a case by case instead of just a global.
And again, we're gonna back down from the motions that we made,
Yes.
and we're gonna put this on old business on the next agenda because we're gonna have to have a new
Ordinance.
ordinance to replace this ordinance.
Well, but in
Can we
that
just
one, if we're just
repeal
repealing, do we need to do that? You do still? Okay.
Yes.
Ordinance to repeal an ordinance.
Correct.
An ordinance has to do an ordinance, no matter what.
Correct.
Great, that concludes the meeting on the 12th. We met again on the 1st. Topics of discussion was to discuss amendment to designated truck routes. You'll find that notation in your packet. That ordinance would have to be adjusted, and then we would do it much the same way. We would have to create an ordinance and vote on it that time.
Actually, I just want, sorry, but this one was just for information, remember? This already
Yeah.
exists and we didn't need to change it.
Right.
We just need to sign it.
Yep.
So that's the only thing we need. So this one doesn't need to come back. This was more for information.
Right.
Because we had talked about like Norway Street coming out of the Shell station, for
And the
example.
reason that discussion came up is we've been watching American waste trucks like with full 40-foot roll-offs cruising on streets where they're not supposed to. Plus the delivery trucks, when you're looking at the intersections that are completely wasted in town, it's where the gas trucks and delivery trucks, full semis, are making their own routes to try to get back out on the highways instead of pulling directly out to where they should be. So, again, information wise, we need to take care of the existing one and enforce it at some point. Next item of discussion was the review of the lawn debris pickup bids. After discussion, we have decided to move to accept the bid from Matley for 1 year to see how that works out based on prior service and
Demand.
demand. Thank you.
So is that a motion to accept
Yes.
that? Do we have a second for that motion?
Support.
We'll give that to Bobby. Motion and support. Do we have further discussion about accepting that bid for debris removal? So we'll call it. No more discussion? We'll take a roll call whenever you're ready.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda was to discuss the sewer fund cash flow. At this point, the committee is going to do a study between the commercial and residential RUs and try to come up with a plan. We are being told that it is time to start making adjustments in our RU rate and our costs for sewer and water. This has been discussed before about making a percentage raise per year and whatnot. We need to figure out exactly how this is going to make it fair and equitable for everybody to still be able to pay for all of things.
They already had it.
So it's,
So
the determination is that the automatic increase that we have in place isn't sufficient.
That's more on the residential side. Specific for the sewer cash fund, we're looking at the way the RUs are figured out between commercial and RU.
Okay.
So at this point, there's no action. The committee will start looking at numbers and we'll come back with reports.
And is the committee looking at other ways to value that besides REUs,
Yes.
which are archaic?
We're gonna look at everything that we possibly can to figure out how to make this.
Great, that sounds reasonable.
The next two topics were the ordinances for condominium and subdivision control that has been set up to the planning commission to look at. The following topic of discussion was a proposed Jake break ordinance.
Again, we'd have to bump that to next meeting out to get the ordinance typed up.
And for those of you who are not understanding of what that ordinance is, we have a large amount of semis and larger recreational vehicles that like to ride their air-assisted engine
quiet.
brake, which is the big rattling you hear downtown.
And what is this,
constantly.
why do they do that?
Because they're too lazy to slow down and use their brake.
Is that quick?
A lot of it is owner operators because they don't have to use their brakes, the actual brakes on the truck,
Yeah.
and it doesn't
So
wear anything
it
out.
doesn't,
It saves them money.
So
Yeah.
that's.
Compression braking slows them down,
But it's only
They like to hear
realistic,
themselves too.
it's only realistic for places like, say Pennsylvania. You're coming down a mountain, you need it.
We clearly don't have it.
no.
We're pretty flat,
Within the village limits.
fairly flat.
And it's a hazard between the noise, it's an irritant, but if somebody decides to activate their Jake brake while you're driving next to them, you're not expecting it to cause you to startle and crash into something.
Yeah, they're very loud.
And that was complaint based for the community
All the
as
way
well.
from Dresden to the south of out.
Yes. I don't know, that was complaint based to get us started looking at that. There were citizens that were not happy about it. The ones that know what it is.
And the final discussion was about the addition of micro business A cannabis facility to the village code of ordinances. We are moving to adopt micro A as the accepted license that will cover all micro businesses. It will just be listed as micro A. Not adding any extra licenses to the village. If you have a micro business, it falls under the category of micro business A.
I'll support that. If you're ready to do it today.
So that would be a
That would
change.
be a change also probably.
So that would also have to,
Next
Did
month.
we discuss the sewer reimbursement or was that last time?
Pardon me?
Did we do a sewer
That was
reimbursement? Before the last
previous,
meeting?
yeah. That was all. And that concludes public works unless somebody has any further questions.
Anybody have any questions? We'll go right into housing then, if you would.
We met 2 weeks ago at Dry Road Square Pavilion for an informational session from members of the MEDC, Housing North, and other community leaders who are working on getting their housing built up in Frankfurt and, for whatever reason, I don't have a note in front of me, and I can't remember the others out of the top of my head. Charlotte, thank you. It's very informational on the things they're doing. There's a PowerPoint presentation. Basically, it's helping us discuss and figure out ways of getting a housing bank, a land bank, different pathways to success in this, working with developers, community leaders. All of this is leading to the housing summit that we're going to do on the 17th from 4 to 6 at Railroad Square again, where the public will be invited to give their input and ideas so we can move forward on a master housing plan. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Could you add about the need to do it regionally? Like, it's not just a village.
It is, well, it's worldwide at this point. Housing is short, especially here in Michigan, especially in Kalkaska County and every county surrounding us. So before we were thinking, okay, we need to figure out what to do for the village, so that's the bullseye. Now we need to start working on the next concentric ring out, because there's only so much land in the village, and there's only so much land in the township, so we're gonna have to go to the next ring out the county. So that's gonna require a partnership with county housing, with MEDC, with the townships, and we all have to get on the same page and get on the same plan. And since this is also the year we're supposed to start working on the master plan for all of us again, it's just time to fold everything together and get moving forward, get a solid plan for it, and get action on the ground, not just keep blowing hot air all over the place.
Sounds good.
And barring any questions, that is all I have for that report.
Thank you. Moving on, Personnel Committee, Diana. Before you talk, may I talk? I have some things to add before we get into the Personnel Committee report. I know that we did a lot as the Personnel Committee to clear the air, let's just say. And I have gotten some feedback that we did a great job, and I've gotten some feedback that we didn't do a great job. And since I don't feel we can go forward with an honest report at this point, because I was contacted right before our last meeting by somebody who had some more information to share. And the information that was shared wasn't about a personnel conflict. It was, it sounded more nefarious than that. And it is from somebody who is currently employed and wishes to remain anonymous at this point, but would like to speak to authority figures. So I sent an email to the village attorneys and requested their presence for what I would like to see is an investigation by a one-on-one conversation with each person that has a concern. I know there are members of council that have concerns. I know there are members of the public that have concerns, and there are employees. So at this point, I am asking for a motion for the village attorneys, who are working for no one other than the best interests of the village, to conduct an investigation. Would anyone make that motion?
The specific attorneys, that motion?
These specific attorneys are our attorneys of record and hired only for the village's benefit. And that is why I was able to reach out to them as president. But as we learned, I cannot request help from the village attorney. Any requests can be made and will be granted, but they have to be made as an entire council. And when we make a request from an attorney, we make that request to that attorney, and that attorney gives that information back to us as a council. For years, we've had filters in place, and I don't believe we've ever had a conversation with just an attorney without some type of something there with us. And that maybe is necessary sometimes, but most times, whoever was coming back with us into those private situations where it's just the trustees, the president, and the council maybe was there. Well, I can just say, we have a lot of lawyers, and if you didn't like what you heard, you went to a different lawyer. That's not how things should work. We should have a firm that is prepared to defend us against whatever decisions that we make. And when we have something like, we want to change a rule or a law, we should be able to say, well, let's run that by legal. And that's a fairly easy process, and it should be a fairly easy process, and it hasn't been. So I think to go forward, what we need to do first is an investigation by them, not anybody else. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm only doing this because people keep coming to me and telling me things that sound nefarious. And I am appointed to this position. This is not my job. And when some people tells me things that sound like evidence that need to be investigated, I can't do that. And I said, stop, I need to call the lawyer. And so I did. So now we're all here at this space to either say, yes, we would like an open, honest investigation, or not. And there are other motions that follow this one, just.
Are there-
Who's this investigation supposed to be on?
It's not directed towards any one person, and that is kind of the important part, because it all seems to be directed towards one person in this room, and it's not. It is an investigation of what I have done since I have been the president. Was that legal? Were the decisions that I made legal? I don't know, because I didn't have legal counsel available to me.
So that's one person.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was told it was against one person,
I have one person that specific
but I
complaint.
was also told it was against one.
Well, it was against Aaron, and that one person,
But you just said it wasn't against just
the
one person.
investigation is not, because I don't know that it is just one person at this point. Or if it's
So are we
anybody,
all being investigated?
probably.
Hmm,
It's an investigation, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not defending anything, I'm just talking. Go ahead.
Can we discuss this without a motion on the floor?
I
No.
would appreciate a motion, but I.
I'll make the motion for
I'll
discussion.
support it for discussion.
Okay, there we go. We're on the floor. Go ahead. Thank you.
My question is, if anybody heard me in that last personnel committee meeting, I am so sick of this stuff, I can feel it. Excuse my
Yes,
ladylike words.
thank you.
We need to do something in this village to stop it. You're saying one person.
It's not, it's the third.
No, I
person.
know, let me just finish what I'm
Okay,
saying.
sorry.
You're saying one person, and somebody else says not another person. I have 3 people that have come to me just in this last few days with 3 different stories. Three different stories. And somebody said, well, you're not gonna go against them because you're a friend. Well, they're all my friends. They were all my friends, you know? I want them to stay my friends, but we can't do this. This village has never had this kind of, I'd like to say, wrinkles on their surface in as many years as I've been here. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if the answer is giving it to the attorneys and taking it out of our hands so somebody can't say, well, you don't like him, so you're doing this. That's not true. If I didn't like somebody, I wouldn't have got on this village council. That isn't the whole point of this job. This job is to do what they can for this village. And I'm up to here with it, because it just seems like all of a sudden this mushroom has just exploded into this cloud in the sky that we can't seem to control. I guess maybe I need an answer, Monique, if one of you guys can answer, is this something that we're gonna be better off taking off our plate and putting in the attorney's hands? Or do you think this is something that we can handle internally? I know that's a hard question, I know I know it is, because you don't know what all is there to investigate, but off the top of your head, do you think this is something that needs to be handed over?
I typically recommend, so I'm Madeline Lane, I'm a partner at Warner and Cross and Judd and co-chair of our criminal and investigations practice group. I typically recommend that internal investigations, which can happen because of one complaint, multiple complaints, be handled by a law firm or a third party, because it takes the very concerns that you have, right? The concerns about bias, or that people won't tell you something because they're your next door neighbors, or anybody who has to be elected, it takes all of those concerns off of the table, right? Because I don't live here, I don't have skin in the game, either do anybody else at Warner. We're just here as fact collectors to help you in that process. And hopefully, because of the fact that we are third parties and, you know, unbiased, we don't know anybody, that we'll be better equipped to get those facts. And then at the end of the day, it will be much harder to point the finger at the investigation and say somehow I or Monique or Kurt were biased, because again, we don't know any of these people and we don't have the escape ticket.
Well, the emotional Diana says it bothers me what's gonna happen to the person at the end if they're not guilty and they've been through this drama affair, or if they are guilty, what's gonna happen. But I don't like the idea that, number one, I'm the chair of the personnel committee and a lot of this stuff is gonna come back to personnel to try to handle in-house. Do I mind that? Not necessarily, but I don't like it when I don't know who's telling the truth. And I love all these guys. I mean, I loved everybody that we're talking about. This is very hard for me. But I guess I don't know what the true answer is. I think that has to come from the board, whether we decide we need to take that off our hands, and if it is, who's gonna pay for it?
The citizens, who else pays for it?
Hmm?
The citizens pay for it, money wise.
And as a finance committee, can we afford this?
I have to go through everything.
So if I can speak to what is the conversation that's happening right now. All we're asking is for an open and honest investigation. I don't know how we could not do that at this point. There is so much been going on, and this has been going on for months. And as far as the personnel committee goes, we tried our darndest, but we're not equipped for this, and this is not a matter for the personnel committee. This is beyond personnel. It really is. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know what it is. I just want to be investigated so that this village can go forward open and honestly with an independent investigation not done by any of us, so nobody can blame any village person after this happens. Because it's not going to be me, you, or anybody that determines anything.
And one more question. If we do turn this over to the attorneys, what are our options as board members to keep our mouth shut? Is that something we'll be told to do and
In terms of,
mind our business?
so, yes, so what I will typically tell people is obviously anybody has the right to speak with us or not speak with us as part of the investigation. And whenever we interview witnesses, whether it's you or anybody else who may have relevant information, we typically tell them, please don't talk to other people about this because we want to make sure that this is an unbiased investigation and we want everyone to be in the same position when we speak with them. So yes, that would be something that we would request.
Well, the only reason I ask that is because sometimes when these meetings are done before we get to the door, somebody else knows about it.
Yep.
And that's exactly the reason
I
that I
can
asked that.
see right now it's being talked about.
Oh, yeah,
Look at the people in this room.
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you,
Oh,
I joined this committee to make this village a better place, and I'm seeing a lot of crap I can't believe, and
It wasn't like that before.
No, it
And
wasn't.
I really like being on this council, I really do, and all I wanna do is make sure we're all doing the right thing and doing best for our community. That's all I'm here for. I'm just so shocked on this.
Well, I am in support of having a third party look at, the actions of the village, because I think that, you know, whether on purpose or not, we're all human, and it's possible that we are making mistakes, which leaves the village vulnerable, you know, if that like comes back around. And so I think it would be a good opportunity for us to learn what best practices are and, you know, find ways that we can improve. And then also, like you said, Diana, like put it in someone else's hands, because it is really hard when like we're part of this community.
Well, heck, I've known these people since they were kids, you know,
Yeah.
since I'm the old lady on the board. Well, I just have one last thing, and that's that I think as a council, if we do this and turn it over to the attorneys, then we also need to learn to be respective adults and support and take care of the people that we work with until we know what the facts are.
Amen. You know, 8 years of being on this board, in all the things over the past 8 years that we've been through.
We're in a good spot, really, Kalkaska is.
We've come a long way, but we all have to pull together and work in the same way. And, as a measure of support, yes, an investigation by third party does make sense. But again, supporting the people that are there until there's actual information.
We don't have to like everything.
Transparency is important. Doing our due diligence is important. Doing our jobs is important.
I think that this would be our best move, and then if we find that we can work through anything that's there, we're stronger for it.
Let's call for the vote.
At this point, I would like to call for a vote. Thank you, Diana.
I will take a roll call vote to initiate the investigation. Needham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
No.
Miller,
No,
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I need to open up a second motion. I would request that the contract and the transition agreement both be looked at by the attorneys and us given a legal opinion on those two pieces of paper, or through the 12 or how many they are. Those two.
That wouldn't automatically be part of the investigation.
That would not. That needs to be a completely separate thing.
I'll make that motion.
I thought maybe you would, because I think you've been wanting that looked at for quite a while. I have one motion. Do I have support?
I'll support it because I have something to ask.
We have a motion on the floor and we're open to talk.
So we voted on the contract and the transition. And we were informed that it was vetted by attorneys already.
Correct.
So if it was vetted by attorneys, why are we investigating something our attorneys already told us was legal?
Because
not.
we never heard that from our.
You weren't on the council when this was done.
No, this from the
I'm not
November
talking
and
about
December.
But if we were told it was vested, then who
We
lied to
were-
us about it being vested?
We were told that it was vetted through an attorney, but I don't know what that attorney was, and I talked to these guys and it certainly wasn't them.
We have to talk to the person that said they were gonna do it.
What's that?
Yes, and then I guess we'll have to find out the person who said it and told us we're gonna do it.
Yeah, well, that
yeah.
probably
we're
will be
trying
part
to
of the
be
investigation, but actually them looking at the contract needs to be a second motion. A separate motion.
I
So-
believe that what we're talking about is what we voted on in November of last year, which was the transition agreement, which switched the roles of the manager and the assistant manager. That was voted on. And then in December, there was a contract that appeared in the packet and it was never voted on.
Because the first vote was that I could sign a contract.
It was
Yeah.
that you could execute a contract. I'm not convinced that that means the same thing as negotiate a
And
contract.
we need to find out what that means. Is there any?
I have
more-
it all right here. You want me to take one pass it?
You tell me when you want those. Well, we have
Good,
received
sure.
it. God, I can't remember back yesterday, in December. I can't believe it was in our packet and didn't vote on it.
I would accept this request as part of the motion and put it into the record. And also, as a matter of record, while you're all reading this, I'd like to let everybody know that this isn't something that me and Elizabeth had planned all along. And that the first she heard of any of this was a delirious phone call from me. I believe it was either Thursday or Friday of last week. And that's why she is not prepared.
I've had
But
this.
I believe up until probably 5 minutes before the meeting, she also thought that I was
Thought you were going.
out to do something.
Oh.
There's not a trust level here, just so everybody knows. There's not a trust level here, and we're not working together. We're very much not like that far away. I'm ready to call a vote on that.
Before we vote, I'm just gonna say.
Again, this is just a legal opinion. Is all of it.
What was that thing?
I said, the only reason I said if I vote yes on this is because, again, I want to clear things up for Aaron if we can.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And I want to clear things up for her if we can, and I'd like to clear things up for this if I can. I mean, we're talking about something happened in December, I don't have it in front of us, you're talking about information that we can't have, so we're voting on something we're guessing at. You know, so, yeah, I'd like
Yeah,
things to
it
clear.
is. I don't know.
Yeah. If the council wants a 5% annual raise, then, I mean, we should just vote on it.
I agree if it wasn't voted on. I remember talking about this, I just don't remember the meeting, right, I have to go back and look up my own minutes.
Just want to make sure everything is on board. That's it.
I said, I remember it all.
Mhm.
I remember what I was told.
We didn't vote on it, or we did?
I remember voting on it.
My heart says we did, I can't imagine what's
I
gonna happen if we
remember,
didn't.
I remember back when Tim Ellis was on.
And I'm
board.
too mouthy now to let it go.
I remember it all.
We voted in November, we did not vote in December. There's the minutes.
Back to this discussion.
What was the contract from the agenda from the month before?
No.
Okay, because that's what I remember.
Look out, Angie, we're coming for copies.
Yep.
Make a roll call, please.
Certainly. White,
Yes.
Bishop,
No.
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
No.
Miller,
No,
Needham,
Yes,
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I am to ask for one more motion, and that motion is for temporary suspension until the investigation is completed, and that would be with pay. I understand that nobody wants to do that, but I am asking for that motion if anybody wants to make it.
Temporary suspension of,
Aaron Popa until the investigation is completed and whether or not the contract is legal. Currently, that would be with pay, but relief from the job.
you had a recommendation from the attorneys?
It is the third motion I was to ask for tonight. I believe that may open up a more clear investigation, and that may be why the request was made.
I'll make the motion for discussion.
I'll second it for discussion.
Open for discussion.
As far as I understand, the position is legal, it's just the terms that were not voted on.
This is some railroading bullshit, is what it is.
Thank you. Cause I have something to pass out to everyone. I waited for this. Well,
Do you wanna read it?
no, I'll let you guys read it, or I can read it. I'm speaking up as a council member and a citizen of this village. I'm tired of watching a board not get along. We were elected to represent the people of this village. We were not elected to use our own agendas or wants. If you cannot sit on this board and do what is right for this community, you shouldn't be here. You should not be out to get anyone. I am embarrassed to sit on a board where nobody can get along. We run as nonpartisan, which means no party affiliation. Leave your personal political views at home. Listen to your constituents, not your own mind or the mind of another who has an agenda. I don't understand what some of you don't comprehend. Seriously, how hard is it to do what is right? How hard is it to think about others and not yourself? How hard is it to use your own brain? This is a small town. It isn't hard to listen to people. I had thought about running for one more term and then never again, because in my mind, I would have done my civic duty and served the people. But as long as there are personal agendas, I don't think my heart can do it anymore. I might just say 4 years is enough. I am more valuable on the other side of the table to hold those on the board accountable for their personal agendas. Kalkaska is finally thriving again, but people just want to tear it down and go back to a time where it will never be again. I have seen this community come together for someone in need, so tell me why a council cannot come together for their community. I have a lot of thinking to do before the next meeting in which I may resign from council. I am drained from trying to do what is right and fighting to keep things going forward in this town, only to be unappreciated and used. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a great day. Nikki.
Anything I have to say is going to be extremely rude. This is the second time I've sat through a witch hunt in this office, and I'm tired of it. Allegations, rhetoric, he said, she said, and all the rumors all around, because everybody knows everything, but nothing is brought to the light of day. It's just dumped and we're gonna do this. As far as I know, in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. If he's doing his job, he does not need to be suspended. We don't need that position open right now. There's too much going on and too much that needs to be done. So if you take the vote right now, the answer is hell no. Next.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bishop?
No.
Dunham?
No.
Larson?
No.
Miller?
No.
Needham?
No,
White?
No.
Wales?
Better say no.
Motion fails.
That is all I have to say. I don't know that we have a person on committee report to give, but you feel free, Diana.
well, the only one we had, which we kind of screwed up right now, I had promised the community, because there were so many people here at that meeting, that we would, because it was not time for contract review, that we would just go over some of this job description itself and make sure he was doing his job as expected. Some of them, we maybe didn't think he was doing as well as he could, but he's only been on the job less than a year. We figured some of this was part of a learning curve. So our recommendation to the village was to just let everything go that's here, and his contract is good until then November. We'd bring it up for review again in October. But that's all the other stuff we had. None of this other stuff came before the personnel committee. I have no idea.
I'd just like to add one thing for you. I have an email where I asked the manager about the assistant manager's current work activities. And he said that as far as he knew, nothing. And I think this is something that many individuals on the council are aware of, but we haven't discussed or done anything about it. I sent him an email, but I don't know if you got it. I wanted to.
Did you just send it?
No.
No, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, go ahead. Can you do this right now?
No.
Okay.
Just, can that email be entered into the record?
I can get another copy.
Okay, that information is correct, and I did not hire the assistant manager, you guys did.
We did.
And meetings were counterproductive, so I did what was in the best interest of the village.
Thank you.
Right. In my email to you, I said that it seemed like this was a situation that the council might need to.
I will look at it. Thank you.
I appreciate it, because I did not see anything. I just want to be clear.
Moving on. Police report?
The only thing from the police side is still no apps.
Yes.
About 8 weeks, nothing.
How many positions? 2?
We're looking for one. Other than that, stuff's smooth. Complaint numbers are still about the same, even down the man, so you guys are just busier. But got some good work coming out of the police department. It speaks for itself mostly, yes.
Can I say something real quick? I'm putting on my Trout Festival hat now. I've got to say that this is one of the first years. Last year wasn't too bad. We had some because a couple cars got hauled and stuff. But this has got to be the first year we have ever gone without a police report. Somebody reporting on the police, how they were bad mouthing, or they were mean, or they wrote them a ticket for their car, or they wrote did this, or they told them what. We didn't have one.
I'd love to take credit for that, but Lieutenant Robbins is,
Well, and he worked with me on the committee.
he's outstanding.
He even met with us a couple times to help with the parking issues and stuff. And I think the parking issues between the sheriff's department, the village people, village police, and the village people.
Village people.
We gotta think, my brain is ragged right now.
There is a policeman.
Yeah, I know, guys. Village police, that there wasn't even a parking issue. If you drove down Court, what is that called, by the Coliseum right there.
Fairground Courthouse.
In court, right. There were cars pulled in front of the signs that I had to take pictures of that say no parking. I mean, they used the parking spots with the, road, the KBT buses volunteered. They volunteered to help us. They ran a cycle every 15 minutes, stopped at these 4 places and picked up people in these parking lots. The people donated the parking space and brought them back into the fairgrounds. That worked exceptionally. Last year it didn't go so well because I think it's because it's so new, but this year it worked exceptionally well. So thank you to the village police department for all their help.
I will pass that on.
I sent a note too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you though.
Administrators?
So basically, a couple, just not a lot, but street patching, we've gone through 2.5 loads of patch already, patching potholes. We get a lot of questions why we're not patching potholes. We've patched a lot of potholes, we just haven't paved streets in a long time, which is something that clearly we're trying to work on. IAI has completed the valve turning, which we've been in non-compliance for the last 2 years. We were not in good shape with Eagle, so I contracted with them to just resolve it. It's something that had not been done and previous management has not pushed, so that is done and we are in compliance now. They will be starting flushing at the, I believe next week or the following, doing a complete flush of the system. A full 100% flush, which I don't believe has ever been done. We have Gosling wrote us a plan and IEI is carrying it out. And the last is we've been in contact, IEI and I have been in contact and Lloyd has been involved with the potential of IEI running the clean water plant and the iron removal plant. The whole system, they're writing a proposal for us. We'll see if it's even something that's realistic. If it is, I'll bring it to Public Works. making sure we check all our boxes and do what's best for the village and make the best use of our money.
If they would do that, we would not have to hire another employee then, would we?
Correct. That's it, unless you have questions.
Thank you.
Alright, I don't have any report. Going on to unfinished business, we have none. Moving on to new business. Consider sale of Birch Street property.
I'll make that motion.
I thought we. Oh, we can
You
do,
can
I'm
do
sorry,
something
I'm thinking
here.
ordinances,
No,
sorry.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Motion,
I'll second it.
motion and second. Open for discussion.
Was this discussed in your finance committee today?
No, we discussed the agent.
Yeah.
Which
This
we've
is
already.
selling Birch Street, the parking on Birch Street.
We have to approve the sale before we even turn it over to a real estate agent. I mean, we have to approve
we
putting it
just-
up for
Yeah.
sale.
The putting up
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sale,
Yes.
okay.
Not, you're not agreeing on a dollar amount.
I won't see.
That will come back.
Okay.
We will come back
We're
with the
just saying
dollar
it's
amount.
okay to put it up for sale.
Just for your reference, she's guessing somewhere in the $30,000 range,
Specific language for that motion.
and she thinks we're
Placing
very
Birch Street
reasonable in that
property for
ballpark.
sale, and pricing it.
Which I think we discussed 2 public works meetings back.
We did. Thank you for reminding me.
So then the motion needed would be to place the Birch Street property up for sale.
Correct, not to actually transfer.
Okay, so that was the motion and
Motion to
we have.
put it up for sale.
Got it. And I'm sorry, who was the second, please?
I was.
Thank you.
I was voting.
We all were, let's sell it.
No further discussion, I will take a roll call vote. Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Consider adoption of resolution 2022-012, authorizing business parking permits in downtown corridor. This came to us by way of the DDA.
Explain a little bit better what it is.
So
Somebody.
if you have an act, well, I have to read over what it says. One operating business, our operating business owner gets one vehicle permit per business, which waives the 2-hour parking limit on that one marked vehicle with that permit. That allows a person who has a storefront to park in front of their store, unload stock or not. I know some like to park in front of their stores, and some wish no one ever parked in front of their stores. And this gives people the option that way of parking in front of their store. I know there was a concern about somebody who doesn't have a parking space in front of their store. And that would then be a conversation that those people in the downtown district will have to have with each other as to where and who is going to park. All this does is give a store owner with an active storefront one parking pass, is what this does. The reason was there's nobody parked, and then there's everybody parked, and then there's nobody parked, and there's everybody parked. Well, me being down at the lounge now knows that if there's nobody parked, nobody's gonna go to the lounge. As soon as we move cars up, then we do. So nobody parks in front of the bar, and then when there's cars in front of the bar, then everybody parks in the bar. The feedback is that it either looks really stark and nobody's there, or it's too busy. So this would just let the store owners kind of regulate that for themselves. If it's nobody parked out there and it looks dark and they think it would be busier if it looked like there was something going on downtown, they can park a car or two down there to make that happen. And if they need that parking space, then they can go move their car back to the back and come in their back door.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second, further discussion?
So this is for the 2-hour parking that's on Cedar Street. It doesn't include the municipal parking lot or the areas right behind the businesses.
It just is for the,
No, because they can park there now.
no, they can't, just the 2-hour parking. It doesn't waive the overnight parking and doesn't waive, do we have that now?
Just the 2 hours is all.
So,
So realistically, a business owner could park there all night if they have a permit.
in the front.
On Cedar Street.
But it's not for tenants, it's not for, it's just for storefront business owners.
So
To make
if
that
there,
decision about that space.
so if there was a business who had employees and needed more than one parking spot, they would park in the back.
They only get one permit, and it's for the owner to decide how that one permit is used.
Can this be revoked as easy as it's voted in?
It certainly is.
It's gonna be tough for the police to enforce this.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say,
either gonna be all or nothing,
if we see it don't work, there's something we can take away later.
What are you guys doing now?
2 hours. As much as we
And
can.
then
And we have a meter maid marking tires?
No, you can't touch a tire.
You can't what?
Violation of their constitutional
Are
rights.
you serious?
Bay City. They got sued for marking tires.
Oh, for God's sake, a piece of chalk on a tire.
Yep.
People are getting sicker and sicker.
Tires are getting more
So
expensive.
this will be,
They don't cost anything to mark a piece of chalk on.
so this will be a permit that's placed in the window, so it'll be viewed by our officers or?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, placard in the front window on the thing.
I've heard complaints from 3 different business owners that have been ticketed when they were parked in front of their business and, maybe carrying stuff in the front door instead of the back door. They were in there for whatever amount of time, they come back out to a ticket, they parked in front of their own business. So I get it.
What are they, the same businesses that are calling about the 2-hour parking?
Mhm.
Cause that, we get a lot of-
Probably because I know everybody complains about everything, so,
Because they want people moved.
Correct.
so other people can park there.
And in my origination of all of the problems with it, the problem seemed to start with renters upstairs taking the places out front,
That's a big
parking
problem.
overnight, and then you couldn't plow at night, and then it became that much of a problem that it had to be literally 2 hours and you're gone. But I think we've kind of moved beyond that now, because we're not allowing any renters, and they are already trained to park in other places. So now if we allow the store owner that has some skin in the game for that parking spot to control a parking ticket, I think that they are, or a parking permit, I think they're allowed that. I think that they should be able to handle that.
Yeah, we can always try it and revoke it later.
I'm gonna apologize for my confusion right now, but did we already approve the ordinance for the limiting the number of tickets you can get? Did we talk about that in Public Works?
I don't
I
remember.
don't think we
Do anything
I don't
about
think so.
that.
No,
No.
no, because that would lend to the argument the public always gives, well, Officer so-and-so's getting his quota. And I will always reply, we don't have quotas, they can write as many tickets as they want.
Yeah, I don't remember talking about this.
Yeah, I know there's one vehicle parked in there all the time.
Are we ready for a vote? Can we roll call, please?
Yes. Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yeah,
White,
Yes,
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham, yes, Wales.
Yes.
Motion carries.
C, consider adoption of DDA business parking permit policy. This is an attached policy that has to do with a chance to read through the policy as well. Explaining hiccups, it doesn't.
okay, now really took my comment to heart then, huh?
Motion for the adoption of the business parking policy permit.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on this one?
So these will be at no cost.
yes, nobody gains from the CDA or the wage, just the owners.
Is DDA gonna make the permits or are we DDA?
Roll call vote, Miller,
Yes.
Needham,
Yes,
White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Dunham, yes, Larson,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes.
Carries.
We have room for public comment again. Do we have any public comment this evening?
I do, briefly.
Yes, please.
So I'm probably the Tina Banco, 1736 Twin Birch Road. I'm actually talking about the office supply. So I am a self-proclaimed parking Nazi. Aaron's had to talk to me about it more. And I'll own it. I will own it. But I'm against it, even for myself. I mean, I shouldn't even be parking in my own parking in the back, to be honest. I should make it available to customers. And I'm not thin enough that I should be parking that close anyway. I should walk a little bit, but you know, I'm probably the longest one in the downtown block right now. I've been down there 21 years. Well, Jim and Catherine, I guess, probably been there longer, but there are a lot of times where there's no parking downtown. And what pisses me off, you hit it on the head, a lot of times the upstairs tenants are parked out there. I had it multiple times from the tenants above C&M Insurance. Different people are there now, but over the years, you know, and they'll park there all day long. And it's like, you know, I'm trying to make a small business work here. And when there's no parking, I've literally had people be like, oh, I was gonna stop, there wasn't any parking spot. I'm like, seriously? Like, go around back, there's parking, like, but whatever, it happens. So, I mean, and back in the day, I know Glenn and them used to use the chalk thing, you know, that was a long time ago, but, you know, times have changed. But, I mean, I just hope that you'll keep an eye on it, and if it gets ridiculous. I really don't see it being a problem for me, other than if C&M wanted a spot, but the owner is never there anyways. It's his employees, because C&M does not have a space.
The owner can pass it, all right?
I think so, according to you guys. There was an employee there that was parking in front of my store all the time, and I called her about it, and she's not fond of me for calling her out on it, but she said that she's handicapped, and I said, oh, I didn't notice you didn't have a handicap permit or anything. She's like, well, I don't, but Aaron's working with me. And I'm like, what?
And I have no idea what she's talking about.
I know, and so then I called Aaron, and he's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And he's probably sick of my parking phone calls anyway, like he's got other things to do.
You won't have a handicap anyway, you gotta go to your doctor.
I mean, it just gets frustrating sometimes, so I just hope everybody keeps an eye on it. And I always do the meetings at home in my pajamas, you know, but somehow my feed cut out. And was that speech yours for you? I hope you don't take it personal, because there's a lot of people on different committees and council and commissioners that I don't particularly care for, but it's not personal. And I hope you don't take it personal, because I don't think anything is personal.
No.
I mean, I might not always agree
No.
with everybody, but at the end of the day, we're all there for the same purpose.
Yes.
You know, so hopefully you can come to some common ground and make it happen.
And see, and that brings me right back to something I said I think I said at the first meeting, I don't know, in some office lately, I can't remember. That this board, or any board, commissioners, which I sat there for 8 years, no matter what board you're on, when you vote on something and it's done, it's done.
Yes.
It leaves this room, that motion is passed. If you wanna work on it, then go through the appropriate committee and do something you need to do, but after that, it's done. It's passed, it's over with. Now you turn around and try to make the best of it, maybe you don't like it, just try to make the best of it.
Years ago, Jerry Cannon said, vote your conscience, and that's all you can do, and the votes fall where they fall. But I get what you're saying, it's hard sometimes, it feels like you're not all agreeing on the same thing, and it is. But I appreciate you being here, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I've had a couple of people confront me on parking, handicap parking over at by Green Farm at Family Dollar. Family Dollar has one spot there. Everybody from Green Farm goes over there, fills it in. And now I've been confronted because they watch them go into Green Farm and they know I'm on the council, so they confront me. So I have no clue who I'm supposed to speak to about this, but there's no handicap spot in front of Green Farm. So, but they always use Family Dollar's handicap spot.
There never was.
Is it possible to get meters on Main Street, like Traverse Mills and stuff?
On the street,
Is it possible to do that?
Put meters.
Oh, yeah.
but then we have that cost and somebody to keep it and go collect the money, and we had looked at it.
And they're pretty expensive.
They're not cheap.
Yeah, they're
Meters
not cheap.
themselves are.
Well, you can do some that don't do money now,
And
though,
those
too.
are even more expensive.
I'm sure the machine is, but it probably is less expensive to
In
operate as far as
enough
people
years.
emptying it, yeah. It would probably pay for itself further on, but I've seen those used.
Maybe down the road.
Now, is there
I'm just curious, because
Yeah, it's
that
good.
would seem like
ordinance
that's
or
a lot.
anything like that to, if a business has to have a handicap spot for their business?
I think that goes to state law.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't, and that being a
Alright.
private parking lot too. We don't.
Yeah, and
any
that's what I told
say-
myself, I
So
wasn't
that
sure.
would be a
because
good, that would be a good response for you, is
Well,
that that's a
and
private
from-
parking lot.
That's
We
what I
don't
told
have anything.
From when I sat on the commissioners
know.
and sitting on the planning and zoning board committee, that zoning committee, you've gotta have so many handicap parking spots by state law per size of your parking lot.
There's two over there on that whole side, one down by Nature's Choice and one right in front of Family dollar, cause I actually went there to look at it. Cause when they talked to me in the parking lot, I was paying attention, I just listened to what they had to say, then it was brought to my attention again, it's like, well, I'm gonna drive over there and take a look at it, cause I thought there was more, but no, there's only two. Out of all those businesses that are right in that area. So, but my response was on it, it's a private parking lot, so I don't know if there's anything we could do, and that's exactly what I told them.
They're open to the public, aren't they?
Yes,
That's all it takes.
Let me verify and I will let you know before you give them the answer.
yeah, cause, all right,
It may be a construction codes,
It's from one of the county councils.
maybe a county thing.
At least be able to tell us which direction to go.
all right, yeah, cause they're just waiting for me to give them an answer on what can be done,
I'll get you the answer.
all right.
Did they have a site plan review when they did that?
It would have been years ago.
Yeah, it
It's
might
been
not
there
have
for
been.
forever
I
and a
know
day.
it has been. But I thought when you put a new business in something had to be.
It's not something we look at, but
Then you know, when you get your parking lot redone, it's real easy just to tell the guy to just put one there and
Yeah,
not
really.
put three of them
Yeah.
there anymore, because I've seen that done also. When you
Well,
get
it is,
extra
but what I'm
parking.
thinking of is no matter, even if they're grandfathered in, each as old as the building is, the minute you do something different to it, or you even update it, or you
Up to code
change the
again.
front door to public, you've gotta come up to date to the modern codes for a handicap. That means bathrooms and parking places, doors, stuff, so they may not know that yet.
Any other public comments?
Mr. President, if I may, for just really quick,
Please do.
this is a public announcement to everybody who posts on Facebook that there are no crosswalk signs in the downtown corridor. For the 8 billionth time of cruising through the streets, there are crosswalk signs all over downtown.
Yes, there is.
It's a 3-highway trunk line. We can do nothing else because MDOT won't allow it. So this is on public record. The signs are there, so please stop posting they're not there. They're big, they're yellow, and you cannot miss them.
No, we can't.
Well, weren't they complaining that they're up too high? That's what the last complaint was.
Like,
They're up too high.
We'll work on that.
they're lower where you can't see any other cars.
right,
Short people,
yes, thank you.
what do you do?
You must be this high to drive on the road. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you can see me, but I can see.
Did you have a comment, Jeff?
I do. Jeff Seating, 225 Spruce Street here in the happy village of Kalkaska. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on what Damien was talking about with his interaction with the township. And in case it's escaped anybody's level of knowledge, their dislike for this village emanates from the city, the village to city transition and the manner in which that was handled. You guys created some serious enemies over there. And the word enemy is appropriate.
We know.
That was handled in a very, nothing against anybody. This isn't a personal attack. It is what it is, but that was handled in a very unprofessional and remedial manner.
Mhm.
And you guys destroyed a great relationship over there with them. And I would do everything in my power if it was this board
Fix it.
to reestablish that relationship. It's critical.
I did invite the Clear Board over for the housing summit, as the township does have area which would allow for housing in it. So I made sure that that was extended so that hopefully someone can show
I
up.
recommend weekly visits.
I sit on a township board now too.
Good.
That
Yeah,
helps.
it's
I talk to
imperative.
them. I try to talk
It's,
to them.
back before I was elected in 2011, there was no relationship between the county, township, and the village whatsoever. It had been decimated over the years, and it took a lot of work to reestablish those relationships. And they're valuable. And as I said, I would put that as a priority to reestablish those relationships.
And I also have to concur with that, especially if we're looking for housing. We don't have space for housing, and I know that there is housing happening on the outskirts. Partnerships need to happen along with the county, and I think that the housing committee is kind of working towards that as well. Hopefully. Any other public comment? Yes, sir?
Bruce Schultz, 115 Chestnut Street, Village, Kalkaska. Directly to the Board of Public Works for Mr. White, going to sewage. The wastewater from the cannabis grows here just gets dumped. If you take in Village, the water from them, wouldn't that associate or help out with any of that? So like all the wastewater from all these facilities like that, so basically we just have to dump it because we can't put it back into the sewage or back into the pipes. Would that be helpful to be putting back into the pipes and stuff like that help?
What do you mean by dumped?
Like, we're not allowed to put any of our water back into circulation for basically refinement or anything like that. So a lot of the water that basically is coming through is basically just being wasted, like in the Kalkaska sands. Like, we can't recirculate our
Is that
water.
local to here, or is that
Yeah,
like
why-
state rules that you can't put it back in? Not
As
sure.
far as when we built our project, that was we were told, that we just.
And I think the fear was that effluent would be going into the system and it would interfere with the growth of the bacteria because it
Sure.
would be too strong because
I'm
of,
just
you
curious
know,
why,
the
yeah.
fertilizers and things.
Sure,
Now, if your water has been through a purification system or
Yes.
reverse osmosis system,
it has been.
then that would be a further discussion
Yeah.
of whether or not it could be discharged down.
Yeah.
And what usually takes place is that they put in some type of a catch at that point where they can randomly come by and check and make sure you're not dumping any effluent down.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that has been the case in some instances.
Yeah.
So your specific, somebody probably said something specific about a discharge,
Yes,
so they were told no.
yes.
So if that's not the case of what you're talking about, then that would be something you would want to come and bring back to Public Works.
We would love to have that conversation.
And let us know.
Yeah, because there's a lot of us around, that could be helping for, trying to find an extra village, like there's like 25 of us around and we have a ton of water, and like if you're looking for that sort of.
Right, and so if we were to facilitate a place to dump that was a
Correct.
testing point, perhaps y'all would like to dump there instead of in the sand, is what you're saying. And maybe that would help us out with our sewer problem.
So you have like a drain field or something?
Yeah, no.
But, I mean, when you say you dump it, where is it going?
It goes into a discharge tank, as he says, and as my tank is full, then I have to jet it outside of my facility.
The other thing we could do is do a sample of what's in that tank and.
And then you could dump it right down. right?
Our
That'd be great.
engineers could tell you this is or is not
Yes.
productive for the system.
Might be
It'd
great
be
to
that
take
simple.
DPW and give
Well,
I
it.
think it is.
That could
Yeah.
happen.
I think that we've been in production for like so long, and that if it is a problem with this village sewage, then, if it's brought to head, and, as our inspections come every month, if that's brought into his test, if we go through a test and see if that's going through, so we can actually start putting it back into, helping
I
out.
apologize, what business were you?
Business.
Where are you?
I'm right behind the fire department. I'm the old road commission building.
Oh, our old building.
Right.
Yeah, your old building, yeah.
You look different with a hat on.
No, thank
I
you.
apologize.
That's all right.
Send me an email tomorrow
Certainly.
and let's get the engineer involved and have them go see what's in your tank.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it helps out, and as I said, we all get,
Well, it sounds like it would benefit you and us at the same time.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so.
So after we figure out what's actually going in the tank and where it can go and the steps to make
I
it
mean,
go
all
where
our
it should
products
go.
all have to be passed anyway by the state. So everything's like super healthy, including like whatever we're using, like people are consuming. So it's not like we're not
I
like.
think the blanket concern is the nutrients going in
I
there.
think so. The algae growth.
But if they're not there,
Probably.
So if it's treated
And that
water, and
makes
if your nutrients are all picked up in your process and all you're left with is the water and then that's reversed, then that probably would work as well.
So step one, get with Aaron, get the engineers involved, and then step two will be sitting down with all you guys, Public Works, and add the data.
That was a great public
if the
comment.
water's clean, do we even need that?
Well, we're already looking at how much is gonna go through, so we haven't figured out an REU on them.
It's a lot of water, man. Yeah,
Right.
it's a lot.
It really
Well,
is.
and that would
Yeah.
completely change.
And that'll help us as we're going through our data and figure out the numbers anyways.
Yeah, that's right, you're looking at
Because
the
if that,
comparable commercial and
If
residential.
they have 25 grows that is going into the
Yeah, I'm
system,
a
that's going to
3,500
pay.
square foot building. Like I'm making saying like
So that's a
freedom
huge
green the
conversation.
entire.
Yeah, you're small compared to some.
Dude, like they are going through like the tank is the size of this room. It's like daily. Like there's a lot of water. Like it's like if you want it back or you want the village back, like get in contact
What a
with
good
us.
idea.
Like we're not here to.
Synergy, that's what it's
That's
all
what we're
about.
all here. to do.
Yeah.
Love that.
So you could pay like quadruple sewer bill then and still be ahead, right?
I
I don't like your comment on that one.
don't know. We're just trying to make it story up. So we're doing.
I have one public comment
Yes.
before we go. I wasn't able to attend the special meeting last time, but I wanted to give a word of congratulations to the zoning and planning planning commission, their hard work on the new zoning, and I'm grateful that it passed. I'm very excited for the redevelopment ready community steps that means. So props to everyone who worked on that.
On that same note, we are going to start looking at the police power. We'll probably break it up into little pieces.
The other side of
Smaller
the ordinance
bite-sized
that are
pieces,
long and
please.
stupid too.
And one last thing I want to say is, I don't know what the accusation is against me, but I'm telling you all that I have this village and the people that live in this village and the employees here are number one to me. And I don't think you guys understand what you're doing to employees, but you gotta do what you gotta do. We're having I've had a lot of employees come to me that are very upset. Just so you know.
Tell them to give us a chance. Tell them that from us, give us a chance to do what we're supposed to do, and if everything is above board, then it's not gonna come out a problem.
And I will do that, but I do have to tell you, it's very difficult for me.
I know.
It's
I know.
very personal. This board would have never done something like this to Scott Yost. It's very personal to me, and I'm trying to deal with that, so I'm sorry.
Thank you, because I was gonna mention that.
You too, hang in there with us, give us a chance to do our job.
Aaron, if I can speak,
We
just so
don't
you
have to
know,
like it.
this is not
I think you get to speak.
anything from me against you. This is me as president. I have to find out what all these people are talking about.
I wish I
And
knew.
whoever all those
Honestly.
people are,
I think
doesn't
I
matter.
know what's going on.
because that's why it has to be somebody from the outside. Because if it's a personal vendetta that somebody has against you, I don't want to judge you for that. And I think that's what's been happening. But now another person has come forward, and that one made me really uncomfortable. So I had to call and have an investigation because it's clearly beyond the powers that we have in this room. And the powers that we have in this room are going to be blamed for no matter what the outcome was if we did it. So it just needs to be somebody else doing it, not us. And I'm
Do you
glad
have-
that it's going to happen.
Can we talk for a minute afterwards, when we're not?
We certainly can. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.
That's the worst thing I've ever thought. That's because of.
You too, thank you.
How are you?
I still see